Greetings from UTM Library Kuala Lumpur. We would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to everyone attending in person here at He and She Coffee UTM Kuala Lumpur, as well as those joining us live via Facebook Library UTM Kuala Lumpur. This afternoon, we are gathered for an exciting forum titled AI in Academia, Transforming Research and Publication Practice, organized by UTM Library Kuala Lumpur, in conjunction with UTM Library Research Week 2024. We hope you can enjoy this session under this vibrant atmosphere. I am Radia, and I will be your host for today's session. First of all, I would like to thank our esteemed panelists and the moderator who will lead and who will, as we dive into this thought-provoking discussion. I will introduce the first panelist is Professor Technologist Dr. Khairur Rijal Jamaludin from the Faculty of Artificial Intelligence. And our second panelist is Dr. Uswah Khairuddin from Malaysia Japan International Institute of Technology, MJIT. And our moderator for today is none other than Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Zairah Binti Rahim from Faculty of AI. Without further delay, let us begin the forum. I would like to invite Associate Prof. Dr. Zairah to start the session. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Madam MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, everyone attending here in He and She Coffee. Okay, and also those watching live on Facebook, UTM Library Kuala Lumpur. Thank you very much, UTM KL Library, for inviting me. They know that I have a soft spot with the library because my first degree was in the Faculty of Information Science, or previously known as Library Science. So I will never turn down their invitation. All right, so we hope this forum this afternoon will be a fruitful session for all of us. Okay, so without further ado, let's start. Today we are very fortunate to have two distinguished panelists, experts in their areas, and they will be sharing their insights on the impact of the artificial intelligence or AI, the most famous words that we'll be hearing throughout the section here and there, AI here, AI there, and AI everywhere. Okay, and so what's the impact going to be in academia? So first, allow me to introduce Professor Technologist Dr. Rijal Jamaludin from my faculty, okay, Faculty of AI, who has extensive experience in AI application and research. So a bit about himself, a quite long introduction, please bear with me. Prof. Dr. Rijal Jamaludin holds a PhD in Manufacturing Engineering from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia, a master's degree from the University of Warwick, UK, and a bachelor's degree in Mechanical Engineering from University of Technology Malaysia, UTM alumni. Since joining UTM as a faculty member in 1997, Prof become a leading researcher in applying artificial intelligence to quality engineering, particularly in enhancing Dr. Genichi Taguchi's methodologies. He has published numerous research articles in this area and led several high-impact projects. One of his notable collaborations is a contract research grant with Panasonic Appliances and Air Conditioning, aimed at increasing productivity through smart manufacturing. Currently, Prof. Dr. Rijal is appointed by the Malaysia Productivity Corporation (MPC) to assess the readiness of Malaysian SMEs for the Industry 4.0 under the IND 4RD initiative. In this role, he evaluates the current state of SMEs and identifies key barriers preventing them from embracing smart manufacturing and digital transformation. His insights are shaping the future of Malaysian industry by helping SMEs overcome challenges on their journey toward Industry 4.0 adoption. Okay, such a big contribution there, I would say. All right, and next, okay, at the far end, we have Dr. Uswah Khairuddin. Okay, quite similar names. Rijal Khairuddin. Okay, Dr. Uswah Khairuddin from MJIT, who specializes in technology and innovation for academic and industrial impact. Dr. Uswah received her PhD in mechanical engineering from Imperial College London in 2017. Her PhD research focused on turbocharger design optimization. Okay, optimization with part of the project collaborating with Caterpillar Incorporation. Her PhD was funded by the Government of Malaysia under the Ministry of Higher Education. She also holds a Master's by Research in Electrical Engineering from University of Technology Malaysia, another UTM alumni, where her research was on the optimization of an automatic tropical wood recognition system. Her bachelor degree is in mechatronics engineering from IIUM, and currently she is the head of the Department of Mechanical Precision Engineering at Malaysia Japan Institute of Technology MJaya IIT. And a member of the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Khairur. Her research interests include artificial intelligence, responsible AI, and computer vision. She's also a certified HRDC trainer, providing AI upskilling training to industries, both technical and non-technical. Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay, it shows that they are the experts of their areas with long lists of things in their hand. So without further delay, let's start the discussion. Okay, we'll start with Prof. Dr. Rijal. Okay, can you share, Prof, your views on how AI is transforming the research landscape, especially in Malaysia?
Thank you, Professor Dr. Zairah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Good afternoon. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, what I can say about AI with the research landscape is actually its impact our research methodology, especially, but it has transformative potential. It will help us on accelerating our data analysis, particularly, and open up our horizon for a broader avenue in the research. And it will give a transformative impact in our research, especially data collection can be automated. For example, if we do qualitative research with the API, of course, we have to subscribe that with X. Previously, it was still Twitter and so on. So it will help us on the data gathering rather than we see the responder one by one, or probably we give survey. With the AI, we can get the data in the real time. So it will speed up our research and it will broaden our, what we call it, boundary for the population. That's what I can see the good thing about utilizing AI. And another thing is hypothesis generation. If we observe in the, I believe most of us are really familiar with ChatGPT. There is one application in the ChatGPT where it will help us on the hypothesis generation. So probably it will minimize the mistake of the researcher, particularly on the hypothesis generation. I think that's the start of my view.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Rijal. What I can take from that, so students basically don't have more excuses to delay the research process. Everything can be assisted by AI. Right, moving on, Dr. Uswah, from your perspective, what is AI's most significant role in influencing modern research methodologies? Is AI genuinely transforming research fundamental, or is it merely a supplementary tool?
All right, thank you very much. So AI has been here for a long time, and our research is in AI, and even Khairur already started in 1997. So AI is not new. However, suddenly people are talking about AI and asking like whether AI is a transformative technology or just a supplemental tool. So it can be both, up to how you're using the tech. But for me, for AI researchers, we think it's transformative, okay, especially for lecturers, senior lecturers, professors, and research students. In research area, AI will help us, just like Prof said, speed up our research. So everything that we do before this that takes around 6 months to 1 year, we can speed everything up to a few weeks, for example. And easiest example is actually how you read papers or books. Like you have so many books here. Before this, you will take months to finish 10 books, for example, and maybe 10 months to finish 100 technical papers. But now with AI, you can use AI help to summarize all those papers and take out all the important information from the papers and digest all the information, put it in a systematic way. And all important knowledge are there. It's easier for you to conclude, to understand, to help with your research and where to move next. So it is a transformative technology.
All right, thank you, Dr. Swaya. I always told my student that AI is just like the analogy is like you already have a sports car. Someone give you a sports car, but yet if you still want to use the manual sedan car, then you'll be left out. So that's the analogy, like basically. All right, back to Prof. Based on your experience, what policies should in universities adopt to facilitate the use of AI in research and publication practices?
In terms of policies, you still have to be more concerned about the plagiarism, because with AI, probably student will learn nothing. In fact, for example, thesis or journal articles published by the academicians and doctorate student, it might be generated by AI. Not just publication, but as a professor, my concern also on the research grant proposal. So university need to be proactive in terms of avoiding this kind of academic misconduct. That's very, very crucial. Of course, we have the apps that can detect the AI plagiarism, but sometimes the system may be overlooked, because we need to understand that human is more intelligent than the AI actually, because we are teaching the AI system. Maybe after the AI generate, for example, proposal or whatever, it will be improved or enhanced by the human. So this is the concern that university need to consider in terms of the academic integrity.
Understood. Yep. Thank you very much, Prof. So we have to bear in mind, everybody need to be aware from the points that Prof mentioned just now. AI is just a tool. Okay, at the end of the day, human is the master of the tool, right? So Dr. Uswah, how can AI help researchers to overcome their biggest challenges? Although Prof just now already mentioned that AI can be used to assist in data collection and data analysis, but of course it comes with challenges. So how can these challenges be overcome, and what motivates you to keep pushing AI research boundaries even with these challenges?
Right. So I would like to touch on the policy as well. I'm sorry, it's different question. UTM already have a policy on AI usage for writing especially, and UTM actually encourages us staff and students to use generative AI. However, you have to cite the source where you obtain that. And it's not wrong to improve your writing using AI. So I think it's very hard to, just like you said, it's very hard to detect whether someone is plagiarizing or using generative AI for their research proposal, for their report, for example. However, what university have to do is to create a policy that is very realistic and easy to understand. Like, for example, the organizations out there, they already have a policy saying that you can use generative AI, but not decide, because the data that you put in might be available to others. So if you want to use generative AI, you have to follow company's policy. We subscribe to Microsoft Bing, for example. So we already purchase some part of Microsoft Bing facilities that it in the legal side, it already say that the company data will not be used for training and available to others to see. And I think university have to do something like that as well. So put a practical guideline for researchers in order to use AI. And secondly, about the challenges, of research is not easy. Research is hard. Everyone knows that. And I like when we can use AI to be like our brainstorm buddy. Okay, when we are stuck to how to start a writing, how to start a report, for example, AI can be used to be our brainstorm buddy. And the latest tech from Google is called Notebook LM. So it's an interesting generative AI app where you can put in your technical paper or documents and it will generate a podcast. So what the podcast do is actually two person discussing about the material you put in. And therefore you can learn a lot from one document. So before this you have to read, or maybe you ask the computer to read the paper for you, but it's not thought-provoking enough. However, with this app, like they create a podcast where two people discussing about the content is a thought-provoking and makes you a critical thinker as well. So that is a very interesting use of generative AI.
All right, interesting. So picking up on the AI advancement podcast on it and various other advancement in various research area, particularly because this is our focus today. Is there a risk that students and researchers and the academicians might become over-reliant on this technology, which may weak our foundation, okay, on our analytical skills? So how do we balance AI's convenience with the critical thinking skills that, of course, obviously still needed? So, Prof or Dr. Uswah would like to address that.
I think I would like to answer that concern. Yeah, probably this is the dilemma by academician. During my time, even we couldn't afford to buy computer until we had loan from that time was Mara to buy a computer. So we had no internet at that time. So our lecturer has less challenges because whatever they teach us, we have to find books in the library, understand by ourselves, and then ask the lecturer for help and so on. But today, if we give student, for example, advanced calculus, partial differential equation or whatever, ask student to solve it, immediately they will give the answer, and the answer is correct. Even if we ask the student to do the Laplace iteration, the student will give exact answer because of there is application in the computer system that help the student to do the derivation. Even I still remember during our time, we need to derive the Navier-Stokes equation. It's very lengthy equation. And when the boundary condition change, the equation also change. And now student can easily use AI. In fact, from that equation, in order to generate a computer programming, because for master student, for example, they need to do the computer investigation. During our time, we need to discretize the equation and then convert it into partial differential equation, and then we have to think how to do the programming out of that. But now students can easily program it using whatever language they want, whether it is C++, Fortran, they can just get the programming in a split second. Whether the program can be run in the computer or not, that's a different story. There's, I think, challenges in our academia world nowadays. And what I'm afraid of in the future, our, I give engineering as an example because I'm engineer, so easy for me to give example in engineering perspective. In the future, I'm afraid if our future engineer find out new problem in engineering, they cannot develop it from the first principle. Not just a mechanics problem, maybe something that relates to the interaction, chemical interaction, and so on. That's a dilemma by academicians nowadays. Maybe Dr. Uswah has
Uswah
his
would like to
purview.
add up on that?
Yes, because we are lecturers, so we deal with students that use generative AI to study. In one way, I like the use of generative AI, and I encourage my students to do so. But it's hard to measure their critical thinking and their analytics skill. Um, and as you said, when something happened, they don't know. Like when they become engineer, they don't know how to handle those things because they don't know even the source of the equation. And I think it's very important for us lecturers to change the way we assess our students. Maybe we have to be more creative in terms of how to assess students' ability to think, their analysis skills, and so on. And we have to make sure that they can still work without internet because when there's no internet, there's no generative AI to use. And exam is one of the way to do that, of course. But in class itself, the way we teach and the way we ask students to do analysis have to be different.
I think I would like to add pertaining to this issue. Last Ramadan, I was in Germany, in Berlin, and I met one professor. He is from the US. He shared how he teach in the class in the scenario that students are quite familiar with the AI as compared to the lecturer themselves. So that professor told me that whatever students submit to him, whatever essay or design project, computer programming, whatever, he will not give mark on the final work.
Oh.
But he will give mark based on the process, because student cannot cheat on the process. So he will ask the student the process to get the result, to get the writing. How you develop this equation, for example, how do you derive that? Why you choose this as variable, for example? Why you choose this as a boundary condition, and so on. So he will check the process. I think if even in the Viva, for example, if the examiner can drill the student on the process, how to get the result, and how they got the on the discussion of the result and so on, I think we can solve this dilemma related to AI.
Right, interesting. Okay, yeah, we have to make sure that they understand the fundamentals of whatever knowledge that they're learning, right? And I was thinking when I heard Dr. Uswah's feedback just now, I was thinking, oh, should we ask what are their prompts? How do they prompt, right? And that might catch them. All right, and moving on within the same issue, but just now focusing on research. Now we are focusing on the writing, okay, the publication. Okay, what would be the future of the publication if AI starts to become the co-author or writing assistant, right? Will this impact the credibility or scholarly writing or devalue the essence of the publication? What do you take on that? Maybe one of you. Yep.
All right. For us, Malaysian, we are not native English speaker. So actually, generative AI really help us on how to improve our writing and how to better deliver our message. Because everything, the research that we do, all the projects that we do, it is a novel work. However, we have a problem in communicating our research to others because that is our limitation as non-native English speaker. And normally we have to spend few hundred to get proofreader to read our paper and improve them. And with generative AI, we can save costs on that. So we actually reduce the gap between native speaker as well as non-native speaker in terms of publication writing. And if you think that it's not valuable anymore because everything that is published is AI generated, I don't think that is the case, because AI learns on the data what is being fed. Okay, so our new project, new research is not being fed anywhere because it's a new research, and what we use generative AI for is to improve our writing only, just to deliver the message of what we work on. So I don't think it will tarnish the credibility of publication in academia.
All right, thank you, Dr. Prof.
Okay,
Zairah?
thank you. Yeah, especially we are not a native speaker English. Even Malay, we are not so very good actually when we write in Malay. So we still need AI to help us on the sentence structure. And sometimes we need assistance as well, especially when it comes to the result and discussion, in order to drill in the context of our discussion. When we read the literature, we always ask, so what question? With the so what question, it will encourage the discussion. So probably we can ask AI after we have paste or import our content into AI. We ask AI, so what? What is? And then AI will give the argument. So it will help us in terms of our thinking, rather than it just give us a essay or a paragraph. So because we want to go to beyond the boundary, and sometimes we have limitation in terms of literatures. For example, we have done the student has done the literature probably before they start the thesis. The latest after they have done the data collection and the data analysis, and maybe without they know that there are researchers also done the same issues, the same research question with that particular researcher. For example, I take example in my area what I did in manufacturing, injection molding. We have parameter, for example, injection temperature, injection pressure, and so on. So let's say my student wants to investigate the interaction of the parameters, and then my student, for example, they want to see the influence of that particular parameter with different materials. So initially, when they develop the research gap, a student have done the very good analysis on the literature review, and definitely he knows that there is a gap in the area. Probably this material is not being solved. The parameter is not being solved in the area, but there are researchers who are doing that. Maybe the student has presented in the conference, interact with other researchers abroad. So we have social media as well. So maybe there are researchers who are studying in the same area. They have answered probably slightly similar research question with a student. So with this AI, it will help students to be aware that someone has done this, but in the different setting. So how to differentiate with his research and that person research, because PhD especially, it is about new knowledge. We shouldn't reinvent the wheel, but of course, every human brain, they have its own uniqueness. Although you are investigating same material, for example, with the same set of process parameter, but there must be something different in your investigation that leads to another new knowledge, as opposed to that particular researcher. So I think human, particularly authors and researchers, they can work together with AI in the sense that AI will enhance the criticality of the thesis that will be produced by the researcher. I think that's my view.
All right, thank you, Prof. Dr. Uswah, would you like to add up on the future of the co-authoring with AI?
Hmm. Co-authoring, I think I already touched on that. But in terms of AI as reviewers, we lecturers, we receive a lot of paper review invitation. And I use generative AI a lot. So I've tried putting like a paper into a generative AI tool and ask them to review the paper. Unfortunately, AI is not as clever as us.
Yeah.
So the reviews that they give is not critical. So you end up have to do the review yourself. But what AI can help you as a reviewer is it can summarize the paper and take out important knowledge so you can quickly go through the paper. So that is what they can help. And I noticed in terms of student writing, a good student, if they are a good student in nature, they will use AI in a good way. Okay, like they can find, like for example, critical idea on the discussion and so on. However, lazy students and not so good students, when using AI, they are still not so good. So you can still see the quality of the work being sent to you. So not to worry about that.
All right. Okay, so we have talked all about many advantages of AI. So, do you see the AI literacy become essential for all the researchers? Like, going back to my analogy, should we ask everybody to write the sports car just now, or should it remain a tool only for certain groups, only for the engineers or the computer scientists? Okay, how can we make sure that equitable access of this technology across academia? Maybe Prof, you'd like to touch first?
AI is not as intelligent as human, but the issue with human is boundary, and we have introvert person and extrovert person. Uh, Extrovert person, they have no problem actually, but introvert person, especially during the conference, for example, we can see many of our researchers, they are not communicating with other researchers. So that limits the boundary of their knowledge. And in the modern world, academics, it's not silo like 20 or 30 years ago. Like myself, mechanical engineer, when I was trained as mechanical engineer in UTM, maybe 30 years ago, maybe, it was quite silo. Until I graduate, I thought that, oh, mechanic engineering is the only profession. But today, it is multidisciplinary. And when it is multidisciplinary, the limitation is how we are going to communicate to each other. And our world is quite open. So we have difficulty, we have barriers in terms of language, for example. So with AI, because AI can help us on the translation, for example, and also to assess more information. And AI can help us on in terms of to integrate when we talk about interdisciplinary. So AI will help us in terms of making our area, our field, our what we call it language in our area is more easily understand by people in different area. I think that's the advantage of AI.
All right, thank you, Prof. Professor, invite that up.
Right. I honestly think like everyone should use AI and explore AI. But I know it can be overwhelming, even to me. I am an AI researcher. I explore a lot of AI tools, but it's also overwhelming even to me. So what I do is that, okay, why is it overwhelming? Because there's too many AI tools. Every day, if you look at the stats, every day more than 100 generative AI tools is being developed and being published on the net. How are you going to explore all of this, right? And you need time to explore all the tools and see what you can leverage on. My advice is ask your students to do the exploring for you. Okay, so that is what I did because my students, our students, they have the time to do it. So what I do is normally I ask them to explore some of the apps. They do their own research on the app that can help them improve their research. And then they tell me what tools they use, what do they find out about all of these tools, which one is easier to use, which one is not reliable. So I learn from my students on all those apps. And for teaching and learning as well, don't don't be afraid to ask your students, undergraduate students, like how do you get this answer? Which tool do you use to generate this presentation? We have to be low down our ego and learn from them. They can teach us.
Thank you, Dr. Uswah. So be more humble, all right? You're no longer up there at the podium, but you're actually learning together with them. That's always my thought. All right, so both panelists, the last question from me. What are your aspirations for AI's roles in the academic excellence in the next 5 years? Prof, we're talking about the last 20 to 30. We're not that old, Prof. But what's going to be in the next 5 years from your perspective? Prof?
Hmm. Uh, Next 5 years, maybe not 5 years, indeed, maybe next 2 years, maybe. This is what I observe in my area in the quality predictive, uh, quality recognition. Um, I think because of the data that we uploaded into the AI, so the AI will become more intelligent, and we can easily get the data uh, from the AI, and probably the ownership of the data is no longer relevant. That's what I can view. For example, in my class, quality management class for engineering doctorate, I want to have production data. I just tell the AI, can you provide me production data for this? And then I give the process parameter and so on. And then AI will give me the data. And when I go through the data, it's correct. So what I can say is next 2 years, there's no ownership on the data. That's probably that's what we are afraid of. Uh, I still remember because I one of the board member in APIM, Asia Pacific Industrial Engineering Society. Um, my colleague in Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, China, particularly, when they do quantitative research and qualitative research, they are not doing as traditional as we in Malaysia. They no longer ask the respondent to answer the question or meet the respondent, do the interview in person. Everything is only AI. And our chairman said, now industrial engineering, operation management is no longer uh, engineering per se, but it is automated by AI. So imagine in the future, 5 years, 3 years, we can predict everything. And we can predict, for example, products. when the product is no longer relevant, and what is the replacement for that particular product. And that is the dilemma by our industry as well as product developers. Some of our researchers here, they are developing new technology, for example. So developing new material. And our colleague in those countries that I've mentioned earlier, they are using AI, and then they are putting information to the AI, teaching the AI about the future of their the new product, future of the hybrid system, future of the fuel cell or whatever. But our researcher here still traditional. So we afraid that our technology, our what we call it engineering capability, our idea in the product development is left behind. Yeah. And those countries that really utilize AI, not just as ChatGPT to get the draft for the articles prepared by the AI, but they are utilizing AI for predict what is the next technology for hybrid, for example. Because product life cycle is the S-curve. They want to, this is very important for the company to know when is the peak point for the product development, when the product matured. So when the product matured, they need to have the replacement. So that's probably challenges for our nation, for our engineers and so on. I hope you can get my view. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Yeah, I believe that because machine learning based on contextual data, if we do not put in the context enough in our area, in our region, then we might be left out in that manner. So I do really understand what you are trying to explain just now. So Dr. Uswah, next 5 years from your perspective.
All right. AI is here to stay, so we like it or not, we have to use it, and we have to explore this area. And my hope is that, like all of Malaysian, no matter you're professional or non-professional, kids at any level of education, know what AI is and know how to use generative AI at least, because AI is not just generative. There's a lot of AI tools previously before generative is here. And you can see how generative AI is transforming the world, okay? And it will replace, some jobs will be replaced, okay, with AI. And however, it will create more jobs, but these jobs are for people that know how to use AI. And therefore, I hope we can spread this awareness. And we are quite lucky that we are in Malaysia. Here, our second language is English mostly, and generative AI is very dependent on the prompting that you put in. And we know how to put a good prompting, because I've met other people from other country, and their awareness on generative AI is very, very low compared to Malaysian. Main thing is because of their language. They don't know how to use it. They don't know the vocab in English. Nowadays, there are a lot of generative AI tools that can accept other languages, but it's still limited. And the way they learn how to use it is very limited. And we in Malaysia, we are very lucky to have this awareness, to have all the resources for us to learn how to use it and leverage on the AI. So my hope is that everyone will leverage on it. If not, we will be left behind.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Uswah, for your insightful answer. So we've had our session between the panel. Now I'm passing the baton to the audience. All right, our live audience here in the cafe, and also our online audience in Facebook and YouTube. So if you have any questions to the panel, all right, please feel free to ask.
I'm sorry to say that we are rather obsessed by the word AI. Actually, we should be looking what is the purpose of AI. For instance, we are talking about research. Let's say we talk about modeling of products, a pharmaceutical product. You can actually generate new products without actually developing the chemical ingredients, but you can do the modeling and you can see the reaction, and as such you will cut the cost of doing animal testing and so on, as well as there are other impacts on industry. For instance, in the oil industry, in fact, that's when it started, when you do a lot of number crunching, say like in Shell, in Petronas. I came to UTM in 1994. I think in 1995 we created Khairur, and part of it was we bought a mini Cray, a supercomputer. At that time, people was even scared to use a supercomputer. But I managed to persuade the ministry to allow UTM to buy the Cray, which cost us about 25 million at that time. And I do not know where it's hidden under the staircase. But my point is, in the oil industry, where a lot of data is generated from the core, when you drill, you take the core from the rocks and you see all the data, and all that got to be analyzed and make predictions on the oil production, because I worked in Petronas before. So in our lab in Ulu Kelang there, some of you may know where Petronas building is. There was the core lab. And a lot of data are extracted, but a lot of it are just left in the file or not look at all. But the point is, AI is very critical to such research, to know where the oil field is, what is the quantity of oil available, and what is the method of extraction. For instance, whether you put in the steam injection to drive the oil out, or you put in gas injection. So all this is very useful to the oil research people. So I'm just trying to translate what we're talking about research and how important it is to the research industry. Out there, what research is being done, it's not like what is being done in university. University is writing nice paper and trying to prove a point or disprove a point. But I think we should be looking at the speed of doing things. When you do research, it is what I call the economy of speed. How fast you can do it will create an economy. So I'm just trying to give another perspective to AI. I was never a computer scientist. But I think my interpretation of AI is that it is the application of computers, the computer processing, to analyze all the data and translate it into application that can be utilized by the industry. That is quite critical. So don't treat it as totally academic subject, but it should be treated as the impact on the industry. Because the difference is that when you come from the industry, you realize the world is greater than what you see. So anyway, that's my comments, just to share
All right.
this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Since you are privileged to have our previous Vice Chancellor, our UTM third Vice Chancellor, for those who might not aware and might not see, you can hear his voice. We have Zairah, our previous Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much for your insight. Anyone else who would like to have a comment or questions? All right. Maybe the panel would like to address the comment given by Tan Sri.
Thank you very much, Sansri, for the insights. I really agree with your point. And actually, industry has been using AI for the longest time. But some engineers, they don't even know they're using AI because they were given that tool and they use it to analyze, but actually what they're using is AI. And I think it's very important to give this awareness to industry as well, and not just to the engineers, because before this, only engineers or maybe some data analysts that use AI before. But now AI can be used to all of workforce, like HR, health specialists, health and safety, So everyone can use AI now. And it's good to have awareness and like types of AI, which one is applicable to industry, which one is applicable to the public, so on.
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Uswah. Any other questions from the live audience before I move on to the Facebook viewers? I
Hello,
cannot see
Professor.
you.
So this is
Alright, thank
Ruk
you.
Sadakat from the Faculty of AI. So my background is from programming. So I've been coding from like 12, 13 years. So with the help of generative AI, previously when we used to stuck in a issue, we used to go to Stack Overflow, we used to go to Google, we used to get the code pieces in the form of small chunks, and we used to do think on it, and then we used to embed in our programming. But with the help of generative AI, now we can simply prompts to the AI, and we can get 1,000 lines of code in just one click, and we can just add it in our code. And doing coding right now, we have improved our efficiency. Now my point comes here, with the so much use of generative AI in programming, and now if someone wants me to write 20 if conditions, I will not be writing it myself. I'll be just going to ChatGPT and generating the 20 if condition. I'll just be adding in the code. Now my point comes here, with so much use of generative AI in programming, and we are so much depending upon it. So what this effect will be caused in our cognitive mind, keeping in mind the Charles Darwin theory of evaluation. Are you getting my point?
All right, thank you very much for the questions. Any one of the panelists would like to address? Thank you.
Yes, because I teach programming for my first year students, and I noticed that they don't want to learn anymore. So they basically, when I code on the computer, they just take a picture, they just prompt, and for the assignments, it's just prompting, so I don't bother to look at their assignments anymore. Um, we have to be more creative, as I said, in terms of teaching, and for the students itself, is it a necessary skill to know coding nowadays? So that is a question that a programmer need to ask themselves. Is it a necessary skill? So, or everyone can be a programmer. And cognitive skill is not just obtained from coding itself. You can get cognitive skill from somewhere else, but a specific cognitive skill for coding, of course, it's from practicing a lot of time. And a good thing about this is that people that don't know how to code now know how to code. And if they want to learn more, they can actually ask AI to explain to them one by one what does each line means. And if you look at it in a positive way, if they want to learn, it's easier for them to learn. It's better for them to learn now. Bad way, of course, they don't learn at all. However, they will have this problem in tests, during tests. We will know straight away. If the code is AI generated, we will know straight away. And yeah, it's up to the student. Just like students before generative AI, if they want to learn, they will learn. If they don't want to learn, then up to themselves.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Would you like to address anything on that? No. All right. Thank you. Any other questions from the live audience? Or should we move on to questions from the online platform? I think I have one question from Nelidia Yusuf. Okay, thanking the panelists. And she asked, how does AI impact the ethics of authorship and intellectual property in academic publishing?
I think we have discussed about this previously. Definitely, there is an ethics issue where we couldn't differentiate whether it is original work by the author or it is taken from the AI. But that's why we need meticulous reviewer and editor for the journal particularly to really read line by line of the articles, because when we read the article, even myself, I'm the one of the evaluator for FRGF proposal in the ministry level. When we read the proposal, we can guess, this must come from the AI, because AI, the statement is kind of play safe statement, just mingle around without going deeper into the to the issue. So I think in order to overcome this ethical issue, journal editor and the reviewer have need to do more job than before. I think that's my concern.
All right. Dr. So, all right. Yeah, I believe I noticed that some of the journals that I found that they do actually put a disclaimer or warning that the reviewers should not be uploading the papers or should not use AI to assist them in reviewing. Not to upload, especially maybe when we want to assist in understanding paper is one way or another. Okay. I think we have a question from our live audience. Please, sir.
Assalamualaikum. My question is with Dr. Uswah. How we can trust on AI generated knowledge from the industry? We search about the industry issues, gaps, and some problems, and AI generator give us the answer. But how we can confirm these issues with the real scenario?
Please, Dr. Uswah. Right.
So you mean like if you are asking like some case study of industry in generative AI, whether it's true or not? All right. So you have to know the limitation and capabilities of AI tools in order to know that. Like for example, ChatGPT is quite creative. They like to make up some info. But there are some other AI tools like Perplexity, for example. They will give you facts, and they will back that up by citing references. So when you want to dig in on something, if you want something that is factual, make sure you are using the correct AI tools. And that is how you know whether this is true or not.
All right, Prof, like that. Yep.
Allow me to add up
Sure, sure.
on Dr. Uswah's answer. If you want to understand something from an industry perspective, for example, about maybe we want to ask because last week I've been with Hexa Food in Shah Alam. I'm coaching them on the digital lean. So I also spoken about the future of their product development, because they are making spice and they export it to the American market. So I believe that there will be a maturity stage for that particular product. So how that industry prepare for another innovation to sell to their customer in the US. So in order to get that answer, if we ask the generative AI will give the answer based on, of course, the literature that the generative AI will read. Maybe the generative AI will capture keywords or points from the LinkedIn, from Twitter, and so on. So remember, especially SME, most countries, they have lot of SME. Malaysia alone, we have close to 90% SME. So this SME, they have problem with data. That's the dilemma by our small medium enterprise. They do not have digital data, and then they did not post the data, or maybe they are taught in the internet. So whatever we got pertaining to the industry, maybe it's not really accurate. Maybe what we got from the generative AI is the information or the thought that being posted by the big companies or researchers like us from the journal articles and so on. And probably it is not really true. because the boundary limitation. So my point is, for this time around, maybe others is different, but for myself, I do not really believe on the AI in terms of literature review. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if the actually I think the importance of data center collection of data is becoming increasingly important.
Yeah.
That's why I think places like Singapore, I think Malaysia is also trying to develop more data centers so that exactly what has been said. You got to have the data in order to be useful to the industry.
Yep.
Otherwise, as I said, it be garbage in, garbage out.
Yep, yep, very true. Goes back to our discussion earlier about the contextual nature of the machine learning. We need to have enough data, then only it can generate a better output. Which actually answer one of the other questions from the online participants who asked about, although the question was focused on the writing and editing, the question was, how does AI help reduce bias in research? Is AI genuinely neutral, or could it amplify existing biases based on the data it's trained on? Okay, I think pretty related to our current discussion. Yeah, that's the question for the panel. If you like to address further. We were the issue just now was how much do we trust the output, but now the question is how can the input improve or extend the biases of the existing data. Yep.
Right. In terms of bias, even we human are biased.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And we cannot be zero bias. And AI is like that as well. AI will be biased to the data that it is being input on. However, if they want to improve, reduce the biasness of the AI model, they can tune the AI model like to focus on certain data only to make the data more balanced, so it's not biased. There's some ways to do that. And you have to look at the correct context of the AI tool when you want to do something. And like, for example, if the tool is developed for Caucasian people and then you want to use it on Malaysian people, Asian people, it will be biased because it is developed for that. So you have to look at the context of usage, the data that is being input, and how the model is tuned as well.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Uswah. Thank you, Tan Sri, for your insights. Thank you for coming. All right. I believe we have another question from our live audience. Yep.
I have.
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sheikh Gaddafi. So first of all, I would like to say thank you, UTM Library KL, for providing this forum. And second, thank you very much both of you speakers to give us insightful discussion. My question is, like Dr. Uswah mentioned, that we can now read many books in a one day by summarizing. So my question is, how can we rely on the summarization? Is that authentic? We can rely on it, or if we can rely on it, how much percentage of that we can rely 100% or 80% or something in between? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yep, Dr. Uswah.
In order to make sure 100%, then you have to sift through the book. Okay. Anyway, according to my experience, so I've used some tools for literature review to read papers. So instead of reading like 100 papers, I asked AI to summarize each paper. And in order to use AI tools, you have to know how to use it. Okay. For example, you ask them to extract the abstract, and then you ask them to extract the method, extract the result, extract the main point, extract the data that they use. So you have to know what to ask AI. So that is one thing. And then you can always do rechecking. Okay, I've done that in a very long book, and I don't have time to read that book at that time. It's about AI use in industry, actually. And I asked AI to extract some of the case studies from the book. And I do recheck. And I noticed that it only extract, like maybe in the book they have like 10 case studies, but AI only extract like 3 because I did not put specifically, please extract 10 from this book. So in order to get an accurate output, you have to be good at prompting as well and to know how to use the tools. And in order to check whether it's true or not, you have to go through very quickly. But it helped you a lot. Like it will make your work faster.
Yep. Yep. All right. Thank you very much, Prof.
What I would like to emphasize here is, again, I should repeat my statement. Human is more intelligent than AI. So we have been equipped, especially researchers, PhD and master student, we have been equipped with the fundamental knowledge in our undergraduate. So we know the principle, the theory. AI just subtract from the literatures available online. And of course, the boundary is a limitation. And the way we prompt to the AI is very important. That's why many of the AI training, particularly relate on the AI, generative AI, NLP, and so on, they teach us on the prompting. SLR, to do the SLR using AI, they teach us on the prompting and so on. So if you wrongly prompt the AI, it will give you a wrong answer, and then it will bring you to the different mazhab, and then you create your own avenue of the knowledge. And definitely during the Viva, the examiner will disagree with you. So that's why, as I said, the fundamental knowledge is very important. And again, I would like to repeat my earlier statement. In the future, if our young undergraduate today, if they learn with using AI, rely on the AI, in the future, we are producing professionals, engineers, whatever, that has no deep understanding on the first principle. That's my concern. Okay, maybe that time I'm die already.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. My insight on it will be like you don't go and summarize if you read novels and storybook. You miss out the imagination and the visualization, right? It might work for academic books. All right. Any other questions from the floor, from the live audience? I don't see any other questions from the Facebook or from our online platform. All right. So if you do not have any further question, I'd like to thank both our panelists, our esteemed panelists, for sharing your insights and expertise on the topic. And I believe today's discussion has provided valuable insights for all of us. Thank you, everyone, also in the He and She Cafe, and also the audience online for attending and participating in this session. With that, good day, everybody. Assalamualaikum and goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you.